It's the big show. It's amazing, man. There was so many people online that were convinced that Tyson Fury was going to come out and challenge Drew McIntyre tonight. Maybe a little bit of premature ejaculation, but we'll talk about that in a little bit. It is Monday night, April 6th, 2020. This is the Don, Tony, and Kevin Castle Show. I am Don Tony. As always, we are 24 hours removed from the second half of WrestleMania. But I'm not alone. Joining with me, as always, is...
Kev Castle. What's up, TT?
Not bad. Not bad. I'll be honest with you. I'm tired as a mofo. Crazy weekend. Kind of thankful that they did divide WrestleMania up into two nights. I mean, I know a lot of people made fun of the, too big for one night. Mm-hmm. At the end of the day, I think we're kind of appreciative that we only got 3 hours plus each night. I mean, why did people complain? You wanted the 6.5, 7 hours? Is that what you wanted? I think this worked out pretty good, especially since we're all home doing nothing. So we spread it out. It's kind of like, having average sex, but instead of like being one and done, you take a little bit extra time. I really had no problem with it, but we got a lot of stuff to talk about. We'll talk about Raw tonight, couple of tidbits coming out of Mania, maybe some afterthoughts of what we discussed yesterday. And you want to nip this Killer Kross, Nia Jax stuff that in the bud from yesterday, because you had mentioned it yesterday, and I went on social media after and dug around a little bit, and before we went live tonight, you and I pretty much came to the same conclusion. But there is a little tidbit that I definitely want to show everybody. But first, let's clear up the whole thing with Nia Jax and Killer Kross. And then I want to address a lot of people trying to say that Liv Morgan is a Scarlett Bordeaux ripoff with her outfit, because it's something they definitely need to bring up. But tell everybody basically what went down yesterday and what the end result was.
Well, I'll just say this. I won't get into the whole thing of what Kross wrote to me, but because I had wrote something to Nia Jax, I wasn't trying to get a reaction. I mean, I was kind of surprised I didn't get my ass handed to me by the Nia Nation, but actually nothing really came of it. I mean, she had told Kross to sit down and shut the F up or whatever, and then some guy chimed in and said a developmental talent shouldn't be talking down to major roster stars. I was just like, what the fuck is this? A bunch of Nia fans jumped on Kross asking who he was, who are you? And Kross said nothing. He was basically, someone had mentioned that Liv Morgan's outfit was similar to Scarlett's, which Scarlett is his real life girlfriend, as you know. She will be involved in it's no secret of his soon-to-be debut. We've seen tidbits of it, of the Gargano Ciampa thing. Kross is going to be involved in that. We've seen the snippets. It's not a secret. And Scarlett's his girlfriend, not a secret. He took up basically a couple of fans were saying the similarities, and we're hitting up Kross. Kross is very known to interact with his fans. He will write you back. You will say something to him. He will say thank you. He's that type of guy. I don't think he'll change even when he becomes a big star.
Okay.
And he defended. He wasn't even defending. I don't even know.
And I don't even think Nia Jax really went after him that hard, because really what happened was, a fan asked him, said, basically, why is she trying to look like Scarlett? That was the person's tweet. Why is she trying to look like Scarlett? And Killer Kross's simple answer was, great question. Nia Jax responded and she said, you better take a fucking well, she censored it, but a fucking seat real quick, dude. Now, I just want to interject a little bit here, because, you and I didn't talk until literally seconds before we started tonight. No. And when I saw basically what went down online, I looked at Liv Morgan's outfit and I looked at Scarlett Bordeaux's outfit. And, this is just my take on it, and I'm not taking anybody's sides. I'm just giving my overall thoughts on it. All right. You cannot just because fans are interactive, you can't acknowledge things that just aren't true. Because if anybody does a simple Google image search, I'll give you one woman right off the bat that wore the same fucking outfit for a very long time, and that was Oksana. There are other women on the indie circuit that, and this is just my opinion, there are other women on the indie circuit that wear almost the identical thing. Now, for those that have the privilege of seeing this show via video, what I just posted right now is actually a photo of Liv Morgan's outfit from Mania. And on the left of it is a screenshot of a WWE fan who actually draws outfits for a living. And he submitted this artwork to Liv Morgan a couple of months ago as an outfit idea, and she loved it, gave it to WWE, they approved it, and they made the outfit exactly the way this fan drew up. So it wasn't a ripoff of Scarlett Bordeaux. This was actually a fan's artwork. And here's the thing that I say for all of these fans that want to create Twitter controversy, and this was totally unfair to Killer Kross, by the way.
It was unfair,
and he's sometimes, I think he's guilty of being too friendly with fans. But here's the thing, and this is something I have to stress. Scarlett Bordeaux has not debuted on NXT yet. We don't even know what kind of outfits she is going to wear in NXT. Chances are it's going to be similar, but the thing is, the one time that we saw her when they did this segment outside on an episode of NXT, she was wearing a totally different outfit. Sure, she wasn't dressed to wrestle, but the thing is that, she didn't invent that black leather look. There are other women that wear it, and just because ignorant wrestling fans just only focus on WWE and nothing else, this is why people just can't feed into that. And, I'm glad that there was more miscommunication than anything else between Nia Jax and Killer Kross. But, this is the result of ignorant wrestling fans who keep their focus just on one promotion, and they see someone wearing it. My God, Mandy Rose came close to wearing almost the same stuff early on with the black leather. Anybody goes back to Paige. Paige used to wear black leather, almost like a one piece with the fishnet hose. But it's not anything new. But you got fans online that start these Twitter wars, and then they come to, it's like they start the fire, and they're like, hey, man, I'm here. Let me grab a hose to put it out. And meanwhile, they're the ones that started the fucking fire.
Yeah, he didn't start the fire.
No. Billy Joel did. No, but Killer Kross didn't start it either. I mean, he's just interactive. But I'm just saying, these ignorant, naive fans online that, don't know anything else, you got to resist the urge and just stay away from these people. So that's why I always rip social media. Not everything is bad, but usually bad things come out of dumb shit. It's dumb shit. It was. You're right. He might be guilty of that. And I chatted with Kross in private, and he said it was an overreaction of a lighthearted comment regarding regarding a lighthearted situation. I'm quoting him. And he said, completely ignored it. He didn't play into it or fire back at Nia Jax. And as far as he's concerned, it's a dead issue. Thank you, Scott. Speaking of Nia Jax, she, the night after WrestleMania, they were hyping up all night tonight. It's so unpredictable. My God, Apollo Crews, those draft picks were running out. So they put Apollo Crews on Raw, and Nia Jax makes her return. She squashes Deonna Purrazzo. And before we comment on Nia Jax tonight, look, I'm not saying this bragging, but if anybody listened to our recap of WrestleMania yesterday, number one, we told everyone that they were going to just show still shots of most of the matches. They were going to show a teaser of Undertaker, AJ Styles. They're going to make you subscribe to the network or buy the pay-per-view if you want to watch the whole fucking thing right now. I told everybody we were going to get that 6-person intergender tag team match. But I'll tell you, the thing that surprised the shit out of me tonight, and I'm not saying it's a good thing or a bad thing, we had like 10 matches tonight on Raw. With fucking crowds, we don't even get 5 sometimes. We got 10 matches, I think at least 10 on Raw tonight.
Was it 10?
I think it was 10. I have my counter right in front of me, and it was, I'll tell you right now, it was 10. 10. Yeah. Ty Dillinger, 10 matches on Raw tonight. 10 matches. But what'd you think of Nia Jax making a return and squashing Deonna Purrazzo?
I thought it was. I like Deonna Purrazzo. I'm sorry that she's enhancement talent pretty much, because every time I see her, she's losing. But that doesn't mean anything. They can always do something with her later. She's been here for a while now, so I was more interested in her. I'm a big Deonna Purrazzo person, but Nia Jax, she looks the same. I thought she would have lost weight or changed the gimmick, or she looks the same to me.
She lost some weight.
Did she?
She got narrower. See, the funny thing is that me. Right now, I'm down to 248. And, right. I say to my fiance, I'm like, look, be straight out with me and honest with me. And unfortunately, we're too much alike. And she's very brutally honest with me, just like I'm brutally honest back. And it gets my mouth into trouble even online with wrestling stuff. But I said, honey, do I look 248? Because, this time last year at Lucky 13, I was 60 pounds heavier. And she's like...
You were 60 pounds heavier on that?
Yeah, I was 305.
You didn't even look that.
Yeah, well, it's because I was wider. Last year, I was almost a 42 waist. Now I'm in 36 jeans, but... The thing is that, and I'm not saying this brave, I'm just saying, like, I asked her the other day, I'm like, do I look 248? Because I still feel 300. And on the charity show, the mission I did 2 Fridays ago, I posted the photo finally when I was 365. But the thing is that she said to me, she goes, you still got your stomach. She's like, and I look in the mirror, and I think if I lost my stomach, I would be probably 200 pounds. What happened was that I got narrower. So I still got the pasta belly, but that's the same thing with Nia Jax. Nia Jax, her legs got a little bit thinner. Her width got a little bit less. It's not, and her face, if you actually look at her face from 2-3 years ago, she actually lost a little bit in the face too.
Yeah, I wasn't taking a shot at her or anything.
No, I know you weren't.
She looks the same. She's a good-looking woman, but I just don't like her personality.
Yeah,
she was okay. I mean, she's the female wrecking machine. I mean, again, she did what I thought she would do. Deonna didn't even get any offense in. I was a little surprised, but I guess she's supposed to squash girls now coming back. And we were talking about yesterday, DT, who's an opponent for Becky. I guess we're looking at her, aren't we?
Yeah, I was just going to get to that. I'm wondering if Nia Jax gets thrown into the equation quickly. Because remember, who is the one that created technically the man who busted up Becky Lynch to make her bloody?
That's right. 2 years later, gets revenge.
Yeah. It seems like the man.
Timing. Yeah, but DT, the timing is just, it worked out, but it probably didn't work out that way on purpose.
No.
You know what I mean?
That's because Nia was out for almost a year because of the two talk. Look, I'm glad she's back. She's not bad. If anybody remembers, I still think back to her work with, I think it was Ronda Rousey, that I said I think it was the best match of Nia Jax's career. She's not bad in the ring. I agree with you. She's got a little bit of an attitude problem on social media. She'll jump the gun, definitely jump the gun sometimes, but I'm glad that she's back, because the one thing, even when I made my rants Friday about WrestleMania, and I got into why I really felt Charlotte needed to win the NXT championship just to have a different caliber of crop of opponents for her. Same thing for Becky Lynch. Shayna Baszler rematch is all nice and everything, but then what? Bianca Belair, I don't know if fans really would want to see Bianca Belair and the man this early, because it feels like they are not looking to take this title off of the man anytime soon.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's the perfect opponent, because they have unfinished business and they could ride this out for a while. Again, we don't know in live shows are or even tapings are going to resume. DT, they're good with tapings up till next week, from what I heard, the 15th.
Well, I'll tell you, they burned through 10 matches today.
Yeah,
and one match was almost a half an hour, which we'll talk about in a little bit. But a lot of these matches were 3 minutes, 2 minutes, 4 minutes. The opening tag match, if anybody remembers our recap yesterday, I said it looked like the Street Profits, Garza and Theory, ended abruptly at WrestleMania, so they have some energy left over to have a rematch on Raw. And not only did we get one rematch, we've had Austin Theory and Garza take on the Street Profits. If I'm correct now, is this 4 fucking times in less than 2 weeks? Because we had last week, WrestleMania, opening match tonight, and then the mixed tag. 4 times in, 1 week?
Something like that.
Yeah, it's 4 times in 1 week. I mean, that's a thin roster and everything. And look, God bless these guys to have multiple matches in them to wrestle in the same night. But, you do a 4-minute match, it's kind of like when you have usually like a Royal Rumble. Like somebody will wrestle very early in the night, and then that person is going to wrestle again later on in the night or be in a Royal Rumble or something like that. So this is similar, where you'll have some people wrestle and then maybe take an hour or 2 break, and then they go back and they wrestle a little bit more. So, the thing is we don't know how many days that they taped multiple hours of just matches. The one thing that I noticed tonight that I can't believe I didn't notice last week, unless maybe it didn't happen last week. I don't know if you saw what I wrote, but people were laughing their ass off because nobody picked up on this. I even did a search on social media before I even wrote it to see if anybody else caught on this. If you want to have a really good laugh tonight, go back and watch Raw again, but only focus on the commentators table. I mean, anybody that does, like podcasting with mics and stuff like that, they know what reverb is and echo. And that's the reason why almost every podcaster that does video has headsets on. Because what they're afraid of is if they have their audio, right now I'm talking, and my audio is coming out through a speaker on my side. Now, if that audio from that speaker creeps into my microphone, that's where you get echo, you get reverb, because I'm talking and at the same time the audio is coming out of the speaker back into the microphone. So it makes sense why they did what they did tonight. But for those that didn't realize it, Tom Phillips and Byron Saxton that commentary was not done in the arena. And it was hilarious because if you look at Phillips and Saxton, especially during the opening match with the Street Profits, they're loud, they're energetic, and you look at the commentator's booth and they look like cardboard cutouts. They would just be like this the whole night. They would just be looking down the whole night. You would hear like Tom Phillips go, "Oh!" but meanwhile, he's like, you see at one point he's almost picking his nose. He's looking at papers. They weren't even doing commentary. They were just sitting at the table. Whenever they were appearing during Raw, they were just sitting at the table. They were not doing live commentary. Now,
I noticed that actually during a couple of the matches.
It was hilarious because you listen to Phillips and Saxton being all energetic and all this stuff, and then you're looking at the commentators table at the same time, and there were like minutes upon minutes where they did not move. Their lips didn't move, their heads didn't move, nothing, and it was visible. You hear them talking, and you're looking at their faces, and their lips aren't moving. It was funny. Another thing, but let me also say, it makes sense because if anybody goes back, because I watched Mania again. I watched last night again because I wanted to see the Cena Wyatt match. If you go back and you look at when Sasha Banks was eliminated, listen very closely in the background. You actually hear something with commentating, actually recapping that Sasha Banks got. I think it was Sasha that got eliminated. And what it was they had some commentating live there, and it was so loud that it was echoing throughout the building, and it didn't match what you were hearing. So if Phillips and Saxton were in the building when they taped this and they were talking, because it's an empty arena, you would hear not only them through your TV set, but you would hear echoing throughout the building in the background, and it would have been horrible. But it was hilarious because some of the matches tonight, they weren't even in the building. So there were a couple of points where the announcer's table is there, and then the announcer's table is gone. Saxton and Phillips is there, and Saxton and Phillips is gone. It was pretty funny. I mean, under the circumstances, I get it. But if you really want a good laugh, you go back and watch that tonight on Raw, and it's pretty hilarious, especially when you're looking at their faces. High-definition TV, you don't see their lips moving, but you hear the commentary. It's pretty funny. What, I mean, did you notice like the table missing at times and then coming back? And
I saw, because a couple of people were posting about it. I mean, I thought, then I noticed it. Then I saw the thing where they weren't talking, and you hear the talking, the enthusiasm, and they're just looking like they're taking notes at the desk.
It was pretty funny.
Again, it was kind of funny. I mean, obviously, the conditions that they're under, you give them a little bit of a break.
Yeah.
But
I mean, I don't know how many matches they recorded, but they had to have recorded quite a few, because there was no reason to burn through 10 matches tonight. The Seth Rollins match, I mean, selling what happened yesterday, there was not even a reason for him to have a match tonight. Karrion, nothing against Karrion, I'm a fan of his, but was he even necessary tonight? Dirty Sanchez and, Cedric Alexander, they team up, Oni Lorcan and Danny Burch, they got jobbed out. I mean, I don't know, it just felt like there was, I understand it's the night after WrestleMania, but man, you throw 10 matches out there, and the most shocking thing is Big Show fighting in the main event. What'd you think of that?
I'm getting to that. I mean, I didn't know anything about, who was going to be on or whatever. And even if the results were leaked out there, I didn't notice it. But I thought for a brief second that Big Show was going to win the title. So I was kind of surprised. Again, when I heard his music, I'm like, oh, God. And he turned again, by the way, because wasn't he a baby face? Last time he's a heel. He's a heel again, isn't he?
I don't think he turned. I think it was just...
He jumped the babyface champion. Doesn't that make him a heel?
But that's just, he's fighting for the title. I mean, he's just, trying to push Drew McIntyre. I mean, they're not turning him heel in the cusp of this debut of this TV show where he's a lovable father and all that stuff. By the way, I'm looking forward to that show.
When is that on, by the way?
It's this week, I think. It's this week.
Is it a Netflix show, or is it a...
Isn't it like not TBS, because that's AEW.
Does anybody know what station that's on?
It's probably Netflix. I think it is Netflix.
It's franchise is saying it started today. It's on Netflix.
All right, I'm going to check it out. You know what it gives me flashbacks of? What was that wrestler show?
Learning the Ropes?
Burning the Ropes. Burning the Ropes.
Lyle
Alzado. God rest his soul.
Yeah.
I loved that show. You had the Road Warriors making appearances, and it was name on that show.
Oh, I can't remember. What the hell is his name? Mass Maniac?
The Mass Maniac.
Yes.
The Mass Maniac.
Right. Yeah,
Frank,
Maniac.
hope you're doing well. Hope the family is good.
Mass Maniac. Wow.
By the way, One Fall Podcast, they needed Karrion tonight. Let me explain why it was not necessary. Karrion was feuding with Garza. Big time. You're going to portray on Raw tonight that Karrion made his return, and the motherfucker doesn't come out to try to get a little bit of revenge on Garza or Zelina Vega, that he just, comes out on his own. That's pretty corny, in my opinion. I like, my attention span goes much further than a couple of weeks. I just personally felt that, the roster is thin, but you could have had, if they weren't going to interact, you could have had Karrion make his return next week when Garza is not actually on Raw. I just think they should not have just acted like, nothing ever happened. And just think of the feud and think of the intensity of Karrion and Garza, just going at it. Familia! Remember Familia! Familia, he's there against each other. And, Karrion just hangs out in the back and plays with his hair. I didn't like that. But, so I want to see the Big Show thing. I think tonight it was just Big Show being, passionate and being intense, adrenaline. I think at the end of the day, Big Show, no heel turn. Definitely not.
No.
So,
okay.
But anyway, before we get into the rest of Raw tonight, because look, again, everybody, last night we did almost a 3-hour recap. Yeah. Spent a lot of time on all the matches. There is absolutely no reason for us to get into those matches again. We're going to add a little bit of what we talked about yesterday. So tonight's going to be pretty much, just a Raw recap. But before we go any further, the predictions contest from Patreon. I went through all the entries today, and I got to give congratulations to Brian Thompson. He won the predictions contest. He scored 14 points, just as Mark Ness and Sean DePasquale, and a few others. But Brian came closest to the tiebreaker, and the tiebreaker match was predict the match time between Strowman and Goldberg. The actual match time was 2:10, and Brian predicted 3:11. So he was the closest, so he won the tiebreaker. He gets the grand prize on the prize wall. Mark Ness and Sean DePasquale, they get the runner-up prizes. I think it was like $25 or a shirt or something like that. Yeah, so it's nice. Pretty cool. And also want to give a shout out to our latest associate producer. And this is up your alley, Kev. Okay. They have a podcast on YouTube called Ghost Crusaders. And it's a fairly new podcast. They're, just starting to get a little bit of buzz. But they do a lot of paranormal. They just did something on a haunted house. So everybody out there, if you're into sci-fi and stuff like that, you gotta go to YouTube, look up Ghost Crusaders. In a few moments, when I put the ticker on the bottom, I'll post a link where you could actually go check it out. And I just want to welcome them to our Patreon family. So
yeah, I just added them on. I just followed them on Twitter. Yeah,
cool.
Welcome aboard, guys. Yeah. Ghost Crusaders. I'll check out the show.
Yeah. Now, speaking of sci-fi, yesterday I said that Cena and Wyatt was my favorite match of WrestleMania, with AJ Styles and Undertaker a close second. I've had 24 hours to rethink this, and I've thought about it long and hard, and my mind has not changed. When I watched it back, and some of the little Easter eggs that didn't even hit me in the beginning, then, you start analyzing it further as far as, it was basically like, I said yesterday, This Is Your Life, Cena meets Nightmare on Elm Street meets whatever else we said. But it really was like reevaluating a lot of things in Cena's career. Cena, that's why he mocked Hogan. That's why. But you watched it again. I know a lot of our mutual podcasters in the podcasting community did not like that match at all. No. You watched it a second time. Any different feelings on the match? Or it wasn't really a match, but, any difference in opinion?
Yeah, I mean, I get it a little bit more now. I guess because I was so distracted, so much going on, and everyone hitting you up, what do you think? And you're trying to watch it, and your phone's going off, and your computer messages are coming in left and right. Because for the Boneyard match, I really just was glued to it. I totally ignored everything. For some reason, the Cena thing, I was a little distracted. I thought I got it now, and I got it was all really Bray's world and the wacky world of Bray Wyatt. It probably couldn't have gone any other way, and Cena was a good sport, acting silly and stupid. And it did what it was supposed to do. And John Cena basically, it's funny because people are like, I think John Cena really has like some sort of like thing against Bray Wyatt, like even saying he's Husky Harris in a mask. It's like he put him over. What do you mean? He came back to put the guy over. Yeah. I mean, like you said, DT, people do read into things. They see things, but they don't read them. And I had so many people said that too. I really think legit John Cena doesn't like Bray Wyatt. I'm like, what makes you think that? The guy came back to put him over. And that's exactly what he did. He put him over. It was all about Bray Wyatt. It wasn't about John Cena. It was about Bray Wyatt getting revenge and finally beating John Cena. And that's what it was. So I got it more now that it was more about Wyatt than it was about John Cena. That's what I didn't get, DT. I thought it was about Cena, but it really was about Bray Wyatt. It really was.
But you see, this is two things that I'll add to what I said yesterday. Number one, the thing that is most amazing about it is the fact that they really didn't wrestle. You know what I mean? Like, so that's how creative it was, that you can get past the actual moves in the ring and instead doing what they were doing. That to me just shows how creative this was. The second thing is I guess the best way I could put this is I'm trying to think how I could put this with Bray Wyatt. We've had the Firefly Funhouse now for a very long time. These are fucking puppets talking. Right. They simulated Ramblin' Rabbit getting squashed and killed and made jam out of. This was all psychological. And, that's what it was. So being in Bray Wyatt's world, last night on the match, that is no different than these Firefly Funhouse segments that we have been watching week after week after week after week after week. Yeah. It's just like, it's a different world. It's like like some people were saying, oh, this is too cartoonish. What the fuck was the Firefly Funhouse for goddamn puppets? Goddamn puppets. I mean, and it's been the top merchandise seller for a very long time, a majority of the time that it's been around. So I thought it was fabulous because it went long, and when you really look back on it, they really did not have to wrestle much at all. Just a couple of moves, and the rest of it was that was a lot of work to put in. I mean, you think about that. I mean, and especially when you go back and you look at the Nitro set and the fist, it's not like you have it in your basement. Hey, can you take that fist out of the basement and, bring it to the perform? I'm sure a lot of that stuff was in Florida already, but still, I mean, this was a lot of work, not just the visual, but even going back with footage and, Cena, give props, wearing the exact outfits from yesteryear. And really, Cena mocked a shitload of his career.
He did.
So I thought it was wonderful.
Yeah, it did, but again, excuse me. It definitely, at first, I did think it was about both, and I thought it was about Cena because he was coming back. It was a special thing for him. But in the end, is really about Bray Wyatt, the guy who was going to continue to be here and continue to do this character and be a top guy. And that's what it was about. Right.
Now, yesterday we had that conversation about Undertaker, that should he go out on top? I mean, I don't think he could go out any better than what he has. But we also said yesterday, and you look at actors like Stallone and Schwarzenegger and others, they're still doing superhero stuff going into their 70s, and it's fine. So the big question is, should Undertaker, and I love the discussion that everybody is putting online about it. There is no right or wrong answer right now. But, this is something that I think could bring back Austin for a match, could bring back Sting for a match, could bring back some others. Just that we have to understand that, I saw some people writing like, wow, too bad WWE couldn't have done this with Matt Hardy. And, Not for anything. Anybody that listens Wednesday knows, I have been really excited to see what AEW allows Matt Hardy to do. But if you think of Matt Hardy in WWE, takes two to tango. And, are you going to do something like that with Matt Hardy and then who? The Randy Orton stuff? You know what I mean? So who do you put him against? So the boneyard, the graveyard, whatever they want to call it, that was perfect for Undertaker. And I know everybody, the fantasy match is Undertaker and Sting. But is that going to have that vibe? I mean, AJ Styles being the heel, I mean, he made that. Undertaker was perfect. But you put Sting in that place, you know what I mean? Like, who do you root for to see get their ass kicked? You kind of like, you know what I mean? So when you start really thinking about this could open up some opportunities of some wrestlers who are retired that actually can come back and do something. They have to, the big challenge now is, what do you do in place of a graveyard match or a boneyard match if you can bring back? Because look, Austin does movies. If he does movies, why can't he do what happened yesterday? Yesterday was a movie. 2 days ago, that was a movie.
Yeah, Austin should be able to do what he did. I could say one thing with Sting with Taker in that dream match. I don't think Sting wants to fight the American Badass version of Undertaker. He wants the dead man. He wants the Phenom. He doesn't. That's not what he wants. So, but you're right. The guys like Austin. This actually opens the doors for some guys who think they've had their time and don't really want to do it anymore. Would you say it could open the door? And I'm probably reaching here for a Hulk Hogan.
Well, look. Again, I'm not trying to compare myself, but we both had the same spinal stimulator surgery, right?
We both had the same wrestling background.
No, but what I'm saying is we both had the same spinal stimulator surgery. I still have mine implanted. I don't know if he has his implanted.
Hogan had the same surgery as you?
Yeah. He had this spinal stimulator put in several years ago. Boston Scientific was the only brand that did it at the time. He had his put in right before I had mine put in. And at the time, I think there was only like 400 put in the United States. I'm not saying that as a rarity or anything. It's just that, we had the same surgery. And I still have mine. And, that's probably the number one reason why I don't do any wrestling stuff anymore, because I got a battery, implanted, right below my skin on my back. And, not today, but another day I'll actually show people the scar and everything. But I also have, leads attached to my spine. And when I have pain in my hip, I have a remote control. I'll show people maybe on Friday. I have a remote control. I hit a button. It starts sending electrical signals to my hip. It's like a TENS machine inside me. Hogan, if he still has that in him, he can't do any back bumps. And the thing with Hogan is he's not on Iron Sheik, gimmick battle royal level, but Hogan was never like a fast mover. Undertaker could fucking move. I mean, one thing, even though he's had bad matches the last couple of years, we have said this repeatedly. Undertaker on his feet, going, left to right, side, front and back, he looks like $1 million. When he goes off his feet, that's where he runs into problems. Hogan, I don't know where that would. This is why WWE personnel get paid the millions of dollars or the hundreds of thousands of dollars that they get, and that's why we don't. They're paid to do this. I never in a million years ever thought I would see what I saw, with this graveyard. I mean, I think we all kind of envisioned a brawl in a graveyard, but I don't think anybody ever envisioned it to be so well produced, almost on movie, level. So, but again, Austin, if he does movies still, why can't he do that? If Hogan, it's got to be the right environment with the right people. And I'm not sure if Undertaker and Sting battling in a graveyard would actually mesh well. This was strange with AJ Styles and Undertaker, because you look at those two. When we first heard, remember when we first heard the rumor?
Yeah, I totally dumbed it down because I'm like, who said that? Yeah. I was like, you wouldn't even think of that matchup. And I was saying to myself, what's AJ's thing? Like to start phenomenal? That's kind of reaching. So I'm like, how are they going to even do this? And why would AJ start with the Undertaker? I was trying to figure out how they would do this. Yeah. And not only did they do it, it's come and gone, and it was my favorite thing. And I watched it again today for the 5th time. Yeah. So I loved it. Like someone actually said, it's like the Thriller music video now for wrestling. Like you go back and watch it. I remember when Thriller came out in '84. Sure. In '84, they were showing it everywhere. Sure. It's like that. It's like that legendary. I think it's going to be. But was it a match? That's the other argument. Was it a match? Was it just a segment, or was it a match? Does it really matter though, DT?
Yeah. By the way, I want to shout out Joe Punches. Look, I know a lot of people are excited to see Sting and Undertaker. Absolutely. That's going to be a challenge. But look, I know I'm curious to see what Cornette's going to say about these two matches.
Oh, me too. Yeah.
But again, this is entertainment at the end of the day, and if we get it once in a blue moon, there is nothing wrong with getting that once in a blue moon. It's basically a WWE Films presents, and instead of it airing on the network as a network special, we get it in the form of a match at WrestleMania. No issues with that whatsoever. I would love to see it. Hey, Mr. Krabs, I wouldn't mind having a Boneyard match with myself and Joey 924. I think that would be fun. So that would be, I wouldn't want to do the Firefly thing though, because I wouldn't want to go retrospect with him, but I hope Joey's doing well. Props to you for remembering, but shout out to OK Fabe. Love the Boneyard match as well. Nearly had a panic attack during the last segment of Raw. Yeah. That's why, look, I have said before, I have no problem with Alvarez, no problem with Meltzer. I'm one of those rare people that likes Meltzer and Russo. But, Alvarez today says, the Boneyard's going to air in its entirety during Raw tonight. I honestly, as we talked about yesterday, I didn't in a million years think that was going to happen. But you saw all of these websites reporting that Tyson Fury was going to come out tonight and challenge Drew McIntyre. I mean...
Where did they get that from? It just sounds like somebody made it up and just...
No, you know what I think it is? I just think that because this coronavirus... Look, we had some good news yesterday and today that some of the levels went down slightly. Trust me, we are so, far away from it being gone. Yeah. But the thing is if that trend continues, a week from now, I guarantee you, you're going to see some areas in the United States where people are going back to work. And then, look, we talk wrestling on here, but I'll just share this with everybody that may not follow this that closely. They're working on an antibody test right now, and it's already in testing. And if it works, the tests are successful, they're supposed to have tens of millions of this test available by May. May is only a couple of weeks away, and it could even be sooner. This is basically what the deal is. Did you ever have chicken pox?
Of course, I had it when I was 15.
All right. I had chicken pox when I was in the Navy. You remember the story. Usually when you get something like chicken pox or something, you don't get it a second time. Your body becomes immune to it. And the thing is as I showed yesterday to everybody, my Lysol on the back, it actually says human coronavirus. Coronavirus is not something new. There's different forms of coronavirus. But what this antibody test is going to do is you prick your finger, almost like a diabetes test, and it immediately tells you if your body has created the antibody to fight coronavirus. Just like chicken pox or measles. I mean, there's a way that they can tell if you had chicken pox in the past. They check and you have the antibody in you that says that, you know, it will. So the bottom line is this test comes out. There are tons of us that likely have had this virus and didn't even know it because it's such a mild case. You might have had a little diarrhea. If anybody remembers the night of the AEW pay-per-view, you know, now people are freaking me out because I had the end. I'm honest on this show. I ended the pay-per-view recap 10 minutes early because I had to take a dump. I don't ever have that happen. Now people are like, you know, you think maybe you had a little case of that virus, but I have no idea. But when this test comes out, if it shows that you have the antibody to fight this, you go back to work. Because it's just like chicken pox for the most part, that chances are you will not be able to catch it again. So you're immune to it. So
DT, I was thinking of DT, not to cut you off, but that's actually interesting. I was thinking about that. Why could they come up with something where you tested that you can't get it, or you could fight it so that you could be, you know, like, right, go back to the workforce, other people, like kind of separate the people, the haves and the have-nots, when it comes in the way of the virus, not in the way of fiscally.
If this test is available, and an antibody test is not expensive, it's very, very cheap. Okay. And if it's that much available, what they can technically do is WWE could send their wrestlers to the doctor to get the test. I don't know if you could send it to, I think a doctor has to administer it, but the wrestlers, and, you know, female or male, can take this test. And if it shows that they have the antibody, and everybody shows up that has the antibody, you know, even if you test negative for coronavirus, everybody in that building has taken a test, number one, if they have the virus, and number two, if they're immune to it. So if everybody's taking a test and you know one way or the other what the situation is, people will be able to perform again. The problem is we have to get this virus down more, and I'm very curious to see what happens a couple of weeks from now. Tyson Fury, I have no idea if this is legit, but my feeling on it is a lot of wrestlers do not want to perform right now. They are very uncomfortable. There are some wrestlers, you know, especially the younger guys who, you know, are more hungry, let's be honest, that may not have a wife or an extended family, that don't mind being on the road, you know, for 2, 3, 4 weeks at a time, and think, hell, let me stay in a fucking hotel room. Let me not be around anybody. And I get an opportunity now that I may not have received because other people are higher on the food chain than me in pro wrestling. I'm not going to name anybody specifically in pro wrestling, but some of these people right now, I mean, I don't condone them wrestling, you know, when everybody else is forced to stay at home. But like I said, don't be surprised if WWE goes state jumping and goes to like South Dakota or one of these other states and, you know, runs a couple of matches there. I don't know, but Tyson Fury might be one of these few people right now that is available, that, you know, they gave him an offer, especially in this time. You know, I just don't know how much Tyson Fury can do. I mean, him and Cain Velasquez in Saudi Arabia, he was the lesser of the two as far as, you know, tolerant. I mean, he was better, but I don't know what Cain Velasquez could do against Drew McIntyre or anybody. I don't know if I want to see that.
I don't want to see that. I can tell
you
right now.
I don't know. But this is the time for opportunity. Absolutely. For some people, some women, you know, I feel bad for some women that they're sticking around and they're still getting jobbed out, you know?
Yeah.
So
I agree.
But speaking of opportunity, Mr. Krebs, who had the biggest missed opportunity, in your opinion, in WWE? One of them I could tell you is a little insane for him to come up pick this person, but he said Sean O'Haire, Mr. Kennedy, or RVD. RVD, I know why he's saying that, because he was the dual champion and then, had the incident with Sabu in the car and had to drop both titles for WWE. So that's actually not bad when you think about it. But of the three, who do you think really screwed up their opportunity the most?
I don't think Sean screwed up his opportunity the most. I think what happened with Piper, with the HBO thing, they had nothing for Sean, and it didn't make sense. The Devil's Advocate was a wonderful gimmick. He did it great. He had such a great look, 6'4", 275, good-looking dude, had a great promo. I don't know how that goes wrong, DT.
You're not telling me anything that I don't already know.
You're right. Exactly. I'm not telling you anything you don't already know. So I don't know how they screwed that up. Now, Mr. Kennedy screwed up. He hurt Randy Orton. There was a thing in the back with him and Randy. Randy's a top guy. You can't get into something like that with him. And he paid Jim Ross and Conrad did a special on Mr. Kennedy the other day. Guys should check it out. And Jim Ross said Kennedy did a lot of wrong things that if there's a playbook of what not to do in the back and things to not do, he did it. And and it's his own fault that he's not a bigger star or wasn't a bigger star. So go check out what Jim Ross has to say. Yeah. Jim tells it like it is. So I'm going to say Sean was a victim. Kennedy caused himself. Rob smoked weed and they didn't like that and screwed that up. So I would say, again, the three situations, DT, are not the same.
Yeah. You know what? Of the three, I will, believe it or not, I'll go with RVD. When I first saw that, I thought it was, what a bad choice. But the more I think about it, because when I think back to when RVD, had the one-night stand match with Cena, which is still my top 10 favorite matches of all time. And the crowd made that too. It just goes to show you now, imagine that match happening. Cena throws the shirt into the empty arena and nobody throws it back. But I'll never forget when he had the fucking title. And then we heard on the news that he got pulled over with Sabu. Especially since I go back to watching ECW from '93. I'm like, oh, motherfucker, what did they find in his car? And he had to lose both belts. And I remember the whole thing with Paul Heyman. I think he was managing Big Show at the time, too. And
he was. Now, DT, if that happened today, would Van Dam be fired?
Yeah. I think so. See, the thing is, weed is more accepted in the United States compared to before, but because of the wellness program and because of the tragedies that have happened over the years, I'm pretty sure Sabu definitely would have been gone. I mean, he would have been gone. But RVD, the big problem with him at the time was they put the belts on him. I mean, very rare did you have someone who really got their popularity outside of WWE come in that really was never like the top main eventer, and then he gets both belts and then just smokes that opportunity away. God bless him, though, because he is still a Hall of Famer. He has had an awesome fucking career. He's still having fun. I mean, he had those issues with concussions. Mr. Kennedy, nothing against him, but I never viewed him as being that high on the food chain in WWE. I still remember that match where they're all wearing like Lakers jerseys and stuff. And this motherfucker, he did that interview. It was one of our old intros. You ever take steroids? Nope. Been tested 3 times. You ever take steroids? Nope. Yeah, okay. So he just never was that high on the food chain in WWE, in my opinion. And Sean O'Haire, like you said, Piper doing that Real Sports interview, that ruined Sean O'Haire's career. Sean O'Haire, obviously, he ruined himself, and unfortunately he's no longer with us because of it. He always had attitude issues, but I would say RVD. So, but and you know what? I really, so sad with RVD and Joey Ryan, trying to start that cancel culture stuff in Impact Wrestling. especially right now. I mean,
what is
I'm shocked that you don't have wrestlers trying to expand their characters a little bit, or, you know, just across social media. You know what I mean? Because I think Joey Ryan, especially right now, he could be trolling people online and, you know, just really try. The problem is Impact Wrestling is not the focal point anymore, and I don't think they just want to invest that much time. If I was him right now, I'd be all over social media trolling people and forcing the cancer culture concept. This way, when they come back, that motherfucker of death threats against him and going in the building, you know?
Yeah, it's nuts.
Anyway, I want to shout out some of our new and returning patrons: Corey Kleber, Dorian Arc 24, Lenny Beebe, Kevin Kuby, Christopher F., and Brent Stellander. I don't think he's related to Chris. I also, once again, check out Ghost Crusaders on YouTube. Patreon.com/Don Tony. Tomorrow you are doing KNT Chronicles, right?
Yeah, with Trez at 10:15.
Okay, sounds good. Let's talk a little bit about Raw. And by the way, for everybody listening and on or watching right now, if you really are enjoying this, hit the like button. And don't forget, subscribe. I have a challenge to get 10,000 by June 1st. Originally, the challenge was 10,000 in a year. And we're already over 9. So definitely, if you like it, hit the like button, hit the subscribe. Let's talk a little bit about Raw. So tonight on Raw, we had Liv Morgan open up the show taking on Asuka. And I'm sorry, dude, I had a flashback to 1995. No, you know what? It might have been even 96. No, you know what? I think it was December of 95 when Steve Austin was in ECW for that very brief moment. And he did a couple of spoofs of Eric Bischoff and Monday Night Quill. And then he lost that match against Mikey Whipwreck. And then he lost the match with Mikey and Sandman. And towards the end, he said that promo about being in WCW. We got nothing for you, baby. But there was one thing that he said at that time, and he said, you know, so there I am floundering along. There's nothing going my way because the politics in WCW kept the biggest potential superstar in wrestling on the goddamn ground. I'm sure a lot of people remember that. But the one thing that I always remembered from that promo is that he said, on one hand, they're paying him a bunch of money, and they told him, go out and give Bagwell a hell of a match. Go out there with an 18-year-old German kid, give him 7 good minutes. And I'm sorry, man, Liv Morgan, I like her. I think she's on the right path. I still don't understand why WWE tried to, you know, they should give her the blue tongue back and everything. But when I saw Asuka taking on Liv Morgan after Asuka lost to Alexa Bliss, and then Asuka loses the tag belts, my immediate thought was, okay, here is stunning Steve Austin, you know, giving an 18-year-old German kid, I don't know if they were talking about Alex Wright at the time, but 7 good minutes. And it's like, as this match went along, I'm like, okay, Asuka is stunning Steve Austin. Liv Morgan is that 18-year-old German kid. Asuka's giving Liv Morgan 7 good minutes. Please do not fucking have Asuka job out. Luckily, we didn't get that, but I don't know, man. I don't know what the fuck they're doing with Kairi Sane. I don't know if she's done. There's rumors that she wants to go back to Japan. I don't know if she's even allowed to go back to Japan right now. But
yeah, I don't know if she is. That's a good question.
Yeah, but what'd you think of? I mean, it was a decent match, but you know, I started to get that upset stomach that Liv Morgan just won yesterday at Mania. They're gonna have her fucking beat Asuka, and I'm like, it didn't sit well with me. It didn't happen, but I don't know. What'd you think of that match?
I thought it was okay, and I'll tell you one thing: Asuka seems to be having fun. Whatever she's doing, Asuka seems to be having a ball, dancing around and acting crazy and wacky. I mean, so far removed from what she was a year ago at this time. She's having a ball. I mean, if anybody who says this, like I said, and I know what you're going to say, DT, when I say this, this podcasters go, Asuka and Karrion behind the scenes can't wait to go back to Japan. They should be back in such and such by 6 months. I'm like, I speculate. Well, you know what? Asuka's doing a good impersonation of someone who's enjoying her time in the WWE. She's a great actress because she looks like she's having a ball. And even in the empty thing, she's been a good trooper and a sport. So I don't know. I don't know if she's that much of a phony, but she looks like she's having a great time. Scarlett versus her, you know what the results were going to be. Scarlett gave her a better match than I thought she'd give her. Oh my God, call her Scarlett. And I did not do that on purpose, by the way. Sorry,
I know.
Liv Morgan, gave her a better match than I thought she would. But Asuka all the way. You said it last night, DT. If you're talking about the top two, clearly best women in the company, it's Charlotte number one and Asuka number two, and I agree with you on that.
Yeah.
Asuka's one of the best, and she's having a ball being call her wacky Asuka or whatever. She's having a ball, and she looks like she's having fun. So I don't know what anybody's talking about, that she's on the way out. I think she's on the way up. And Liv is, I don't know. Liv is okay. I liked it better with a little punk rock Harley Quinn thing that she was doing. To me, she just looks like every other blonde. Nothing that's going to distinguish her from anybody else. Again, it's all, Asuka's one of the top women. She ain't going to lose to Liv Morgan.
I agree. A little tidbit that I should share with everybody before I forget. For those that agreed with us yesterday that Edge and Randy Orton went a little bit too long, think of this little tidbit that a lot of people figured out today. And, I did the research just to confirm, make sure that it was not wrong. Edge versus Randy Orton at WrestleMania is the second longest WrestleMania match in history.
Really?
The longest match was the Iron Man match from WrestleMania 12. I think that was Shawn Michaels, Bret Hart. The second longest match previously was the main event of WrestleMania 2000, Triple H versus The Rock versus Big Show versus Foley. I think that was the WrestleMania where Foley retired and Linda came out like a short time later and announced that he was going to be in the match at Mania. Yes. Mm-hmm. But that match was, I have the time right here, that was 36 minutes, 28 seconds. So the Edge Randy Orton match from Mania is now number 2. It beat the WrestleMania 2000 match by only 7 seconds.
Wow.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. Jeez.
Yes. So, and think about this. We brought this up yesterday. That match was edited. Lord knows how much fucking longer that match went because they trimmed some of that stuff down. I don't know if they intentionally tried to make it the second longest match of all time.
Right.
I don't know. But it felt like they deliberately made this go an extreme long time. And, tonight they showed the replay, and once again, they showed that little choke with the equipment. And, there was some articles today saying that some people in WWE were very upset of that gym equipment spot. I think that's just people, making shit up. But I
think it is too. Why? By the way, WWE had nothing to do with the Benoit documentary that came out, so there wasn't anything that correlated with that. WWE doesn't want to even acknowledge that. I don't think it had any Benoit connotations.
No, none at all. But I think I would not be surprised still if WWE edits that out ultimately.
Because they probably will. Yeah, they probably will be. It's because just for the I have to field those kind of questions.
Yeah, because
unnecessarily.
Because people need to understand tonight's Raw. You don't have anybody working tonight for the WWE in the production booth. This was all taped. This montage that you saw tonight was done over a week ago. Once they started getting heat online yesterday with people saying that they got the Benoit vibes, and when I said what I said on last night's recap, people thought that I was just reaching. Just go on Twitter. Type in Orton, Edge, Benoit. Just type in those 3 words, everybody, and look at what comes back. There are hundreds and hundreds of posts from last night talking about that. So keep in mind that the WrestleMania match and the montage, the recap that we saw tonight on Raw, were all produced over a week ago. So there was no way for WWE last minute to get somebody in the production truck earlier today and clip out those 5 seconds of video. So, I'm very curious. Me, I wasn't offended by it. And me, I have no problem if it stays in. But I'm just thinking WWE standards would not be surprised if that is edited out down the line.
Probably.
But speaking of Edge, Randy Orton, which match do you think was a bigger disappointment? The match from this past Mania or Orton Triple H from 25? Wasn't that the one where Orton kissed Stephanie when she was unconscious? That led to it?
So. I don't know if I was, disappointed. I don't know. Both probably could have been better. The Edge Randy Orton match was just too long. It was nice to get a tour of the Performance Center, but other than that, it was too long.
Kev?
Yeah.
Okay, I thought I lost you. I think back then with with Orton and Triple H, I haven't seen that match in years, but one thing I remember from that match was I think Triple H did a headlock almost immediately at the beginning of the match, and I'm like, the guy just fucking kissed your wife while she was unconscious. And the first thing you do is a headlock. It was some wrestling move. I pretty sure we were doing a hotline at that time, we were doing the podcast because that was 11 years ago. But yesterday was a little disappointing. It told a nice story, and I enjoyed it. And I guess we can mix it up a little bit before we get into the rest of Raw. The Edge documentary is out on WWE 24, and basically look. I don't know if it's actually how they portrayed it at the beginning, that they were just going to do an update of what Edge's was up to, and then it led to, him getting the second surgery and realizing that he had headaches that he didn't realize he had until they were gone. And, because it kind of reminded me of Bret Hart wrestling with shadows. Originally we're just going to follow Bret, and just so happens that it's the Montreal Screwjob. That's something, just talk about hitting the lotto. But I watched the Edge documentary. It's fabulous.
Yeah, it's really good.
The tribute they gave to his mom was really nice, Judy Copeland.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you want to give a few words on what you thought of that documentary? Because I thought it was wonderful. It only depicts the last year or so, but I loved it. I thought it was great. I think every single person watching this right now should go check it out. Not now, wait until the show's over.
Yeah, exactly. Edge is one of my favorites, always has been. Been fighting with my brother Draper since '97, and we saw Adam Copeland debut against Val Venus in Nassau Coliseum. We were there, and I said, I like this kid. Sexton Hardcastle. He was not Sexton Hardcastle. What wasn't his name? But we knew him from the Independents, and I just thought he had something. A year later, we see him coming out of the rafters, Edge coming down from the crowd, the Brood followed, and I followed his whole career. Always liked him. Was kind of surprised how far he actually went, and then would learn in his documentary and Paul Heyman's documentary that Paul Heyman was a real proponent for Edge and pushing him and giving him the opportunities he did on SmackDown. He believed in him and, the Kurt Angle feud, all that stuff. So Edge went very, very far. I never thought he'd go that far in his career. And I always call him the Craig Biggio of wrestling. He really is. He's like a Ryan Sandberg or a Craig Biggio, just a great, great player. And you almost forget what a great player he was on the team. And he carried the company a lot when a lot of guys were down and out and there weren't that many stars. He was the top guy. And I thought the documentary just, he made him even more likable. I don't know how you come away from that. Even if you're on the fence about it, if you're on the fence about Edge, after you watch this, you'll really like him. Him and Beth are a great couple, by the way. Edge had a lot of love life problems, as we know, DT, over the years.
Yeah.
But he found the right woman for him. Beth is a wonderful wife for him. Two very cute kids who look just like him and Beth, by the way. Don't they, DT? And again, turned into a family guy and a real. And his mom, he always knew a lot about Judy Copeland for years. He always propped her, and he was her only child. So he was very close to his mom. Very sad situation that happened. Beth's father died, and his mother died back to back. I think within a couple of weeks of each other. They portray that. They show Edge fighting through that psychologically, and it's a great story. It's a pretty long documentary too. It's almost about an hour and a half. Yeah. And they show him training. And also, did you know that Dash Wilder was a good friend of his, DT?
There was actually, I don't remember the website that wrote about it. They wrote about it a while back, but I didn't know it was that deep because, they go back a little ways, and then, he basically, Edge, I guess helped Dash Wilder get into the company.
Yeah, helped him get into the company, and he was training with Edge to get back in the ring, and it was funny where Edge had an arrangement with Beth where he's like, Beth gets off the plane and then she rolls around with me in the ring for an hour. That's the way we work.
Yeah.
And it was kind of funny. And she would literally do that, get back from the thing and work with him in the ring. And she said, I can only do so much with this 6'4", 235-pound guy. Yeah. So Dash Wilder took over and they showed them training. I guess, DT, did they own, a storage facility with a ring in it, I guess they were saying?
Yeah, that's what it looked like. That's what it looked like.
And they were training. And again, it's a real story. I mean, they really get really deep into the personal aspect, the physical, the psychological, him going to the doctors. It's a very in-depth documentary. It's about as full documentary as you can get. And it was great to see one funny part, DT, I'm sure you caught this too, where Edge is getting, comes back from the Royal Rumble. He goes behind the curtain and everyone's, oh, what a great job and whatever. Edge goes, I go up to my best friend, Christian. He goes, how was I? He goes, you're right. And Christian goes, I had to be a dick. Yeah. So it was really funny. And those two, what a friendship they have since they're 10 years old. And did you see DT when he was opening up the box that he found at his mom's house that had all the drawings from him and Jay, who's Christian's real name, when they were 12, 13 years old, drawing Ultimate Warrior and Hulk Hogan pictures. I mean, it's an amazing story of two kids from such a small town grow up to be two superstars in the same company. Again, if you're on the fence or not even that big of an Edge fan, you'll be one after you watch this, and you'll realize that he is a deserving Hall of Famer and an all-star player on this team, and always has been, and deserves the accolades that he gets. And that ovation that he got is to be one of the biggest pops I've seen at a pay-per-view for a non-Austin Rock, CM Punk, Hulk Hogan guy. Yeah. Edge got a pop of a top-tier guy, and I would never put Edge in the Rock, Austin, Hogan category, but Edge is right underneath that with Kurt Angle. Would you say that's fair, DT? Edge is right underneath that on the second tier with guys like Kurt Angle and guys like that. He's not the tippy top, but he's right underneath it.
He's right underneath. Yeah, I would say that. Yeah. Definitely, I would say it on a little underneath that.
It was a great watch, though, right?
It was definitely a great watch.
Even if you're not an Edge fan, you'll like it.
Yeah. Two things. Shout out Anthony Diaz and
what's up, Anthony?
Mr. Krabs.
I used to manage Anthony.
Oh, okay, all right.
No, Johnny, Anthony. I used to manage Anthony's band.
Okay, cool. And two things. During the Edge, documentary, there was a mention that he got an offer from another promotion. Now, if anybody goes back to that time period, we actually addressed it, but how we addressed it was we said that there was pretty much no way that he was considering AEW. Now, I checked the timeline. I had to go back because, I thought even at the time too, I said, there's always a possibility that, maybe it's Impact Wrestling too, but Edge and Beth Phoenix live in North Carolina now, and Impact Wrestling is pretty much a Canadian promotion for an extended period of time. And when AEW was first starting up, they actually was sending feelers out to, everybody, and which makes total sense. But the thing is that at the time, people will remember this. A lot of websites were, making all this goofy stuff that, Edge is seriously considering. He's He's what they saying that he was using AEW to get a bigger contract with WWE, just like Randy Orton was doing that, and the Usos are intentionally getting pulled over for DWI to get out of their contract to go to AEW. What came across to me yesterday was that when I saw it was that when Edge got, there was interest from AEW to see if Edge can still go. At that time, Edge still did not know if he can wrestle or not. Once he realized from Dr. Maroon that he can, try to make a comeback, he went to Vince. And basically it was Vince's decision. If Vince was not interested in bringing back Edge, then I could see Edge would have signed a deal with AEW. But it wasn't like these websites were claiming that Edge is using AEW just to get a bigger deal from WWE. Edge said point blank he owes everything to Vince. So if Vince wanted him back, he was going back to WWE. Using the reports of him using AEW for leverage was just ridiculous. It was ridiculous, but excellent documentary. Excellent. And
very good.
Yeah. And speaking of AEW, Mr. Krebs, last week's Wednesday Night Dynamite that I did, I got into the Jericho Vanguard stuff in detail. So if you want to go check that out, it's pretty fucking hilarious. I loved it. And by the way, this Wednesday on AEW, Jericho's going to be on commentary with Tony Schiavone. And
nice.
Yeah, I don't have all the details in front of me, but what I reported last Wednesday of where they were at the Nightmare Academy in Georgia, that actually was true. So I know a lot of places, they don't use our stuff, even when we get, information beforehand, which is cool. That means, Donzilla Army gets it, and, we don't have to share it with anybody. But, I saw that commercial tonight again. What do you think of these commercials with Sheamus and Zack Ryder and Charlotte and Flair? The Sheamus one where he's burnt, and he's with Flair and they eat the Snickers bar. What do you think of these Snickers commercials?
I didn't like the one with Zack Ryder where he turns into Charlotte.
Yeah.
Woo, yeah, that one's the woo. Yeah, it's all right. I mean, I'm not, it's corny, but, that's what it is now, Snickers.
I think, we always look back at our first crush and everything like that. I think Zack Ryder is my first block. I think he's the first.
I thought you were going to say something else and revealing.
No. I think he's the first blue check mark that ever blocked me. I mean, I signed up on Twitter about 11 years ago. I think he was the first person to ever block me, and I'm still blocked by him to this day.
Really?
Yeah, some people have unblocked me through the years, but there's a few people that still have me on block, for various reasons, which I don't think we should get into right now, Via. But let's wrap up Raw a little bit so we can try to get out of here at a little reasonable time. We had Street Profits defending the tag titles once again against Austin Theory and Angel Garza. Match went 10 minutes, led to a DQ. This leads to Bianca Belair coming out once again. She now announces that she is on the Raw roster. So Bianca Belair is not NXT anymore.
Nope.
So she graduates. She's now with her husband. And originally we're supposed to get Bianca Belair versus Zelina Vega. That goes 4 minutes. That goes to a no contest. And then we get the 6-person intergender match that we talked about yesterday was going to happen. So overall, when you add up commercials and everything else, that actually took up about a quarter of tonight's Raw. Well, not a quarter. I would say a sixth or a seventh, which is actually quite a bit. It was about 30 minutes between the matches and the commercials. But, it was fun. But again, I just didn't want to see these guys 4 times in 1 week. 4 fucking matches in 1 week.
Well, I'm glad to see Montez Ford doesn't have a broken back.
Yeah, that's another thing. I mean, thank God, he was okay from that spot. That looked kind of scary, but I always think of Chris Hamrick when I see stuff like that. If anybody out there, Chris Hamrick used to do a spot where he would run the ropes and then the other opponent would like sweep his legs underneath from him and he would slide out through the middle rope and just land ass first on the concrete. I had a broken hip, so I know how much it hurts to have a bad hip. I hope to God Chris Hamrick is not suffering hip pain right now, because that anybody that never saw that, just do a YouTube search. Just Chris Hamrick, you'll see it. He's done it a ton of times in the past. So, Neff, if you're on Patreon or Twitter, PM me. I will send you that song that you're asking me for. I will do it either tonight or tomorrow morning, the latest. So, Anthony, I will definitely bring this up now. Not trying to be a dick. Yeah, I was just joking last week, but the streak continues for Aleister Black, Kev.
What, fighting African Americans?
Yes. Jason Cade, Lance Ruff twice, Bobby Lashley, and now Apollo Crews. 27 minutes. When I wrote on Twitter earlier and I said the only thing missing in this match was Teddy Long, maybe earlier Teddy Long, player, this is now a 6-person tag, player. No, the reason why I said Teddy Long was because I always think of flashbacks of, what was that guy that he managed? The dog. What the hell was his name? He did the White Boy Challenge.
The dog.
Oh man, somebody, chat room, bail me out over here.
Wait, Jazz's husband?
Yeah.
What was his name? Jazz's husband.
Rodney Mack. Thank you, Chris. Yeah. Thank you for saving me. Rodney Mack, the White Boy Challenge. I mean, look, we're just joking and having fun here, but how funny is it that Aleister's name is Aleister Black, and the last 5 opponents he's had are black. So it's just like, okay, I just need Teddy Long to come over here, and it's Rodney Mack had the White Boy Challenge. And do you remember who actually was the first person to win that challenge from Rodney Mack? And the rest was downhill.
Who was the first to win it?
Anybody remember?
Wasn't Crash Holly, right?
Nope. I'll give shout out to whoever in the chat gets it first. Teddy Long, because I covered it on the history show. Teddy Long had Rodney Mack, and they were doing the White Bird. Okay, James Pasco got it. Did the White Boy Challenge, and I think Rodney Mack was like 6-0 or something like that. Yeah. And then they had Goldberg come out.
Oh, Goldberg beat him?
Goldberg squashed Rodney Mack, won the White Boy Challenge, and the rest was history for Rodney Mack.
That had to be 2003 or 4 then.
Yeah, right? Around that. Yeah, right around that. But yeah, so, I just find it, it's just coincidence, obviously. But look, Apollo Crews, hey, WWE had to get the Raw roster had to get the last draft pick that they were owed, so they brought Apollo Crews over. Apollo Crews, they had a great 25-plus minute match today. A lot of commercials mixed in. Talk about, you take away Aleister Black and Cruz and the tag stuff from earlier, that was like almost maybe 40% of Raw.
Yeah.
It went 25 minutes. Apollo Crews is talented.
He's missing something.
Yeah, I'm left feeling that the same way I did when he was on SmackDown. Why do you think they don't give him a stronger push?
I think he's just missing. He's got a personality. He's likable. That doesn't mean he's got charisma. I mean, charisma and likability are two different things. He's just missing that it factor. And again, I'm not sure if they're ever going to find it. He could be a good utility player like a Dolph Ziggler. Could be here for a while. Based on his wrestling skills and his overall conditioning and stuff like that. But I don't think he's ever going to go past lower mid-card. I don't even know if he'll ever get to upper mid-card. He'll give a good match and stuff. He'll be an enhancement guy. But I don't think he aspires to do that. He's still a young guy. He probably has better aspirations. Unless he re-signs and likes the money AEW, NWA, or whatever. I think he should go somewhere else and change up his gimmick and then come back, almost like what Drew McIntyre did. It can be done. Look at Drew McIntyre. So he go away for a while, change your gimmick, change your name, do something, and we'll see you down the road. That's the way I feel about Apollo Crews.
Yeah, I'm an AEW fan, and I always fantasize like some wrestlers from WWE going to AEW and vice versa. I don't know how well Apollo Crews would actually fit. I would almost feel like Apollo Crews might be better suited in Ring of Honor or MLW. Right. I don't know if he would be a great fit in AEW. He's talented as fuck. You know, I mean, my God, they had Titus O'Neil making an appearance yesterday. Just why not reunite Titus worldwide? I mean, Titus was obviously should have been in the Orlando area. So, I don't know. Maybe they will end up doing that. But, look, he showed tonight that he is one of the more talented guys there. I just don't understand why he can't click. You know, Titus Worldwide was fun to a certain extent, but, you know, he should not have this difficult of a time. Has he ever gotten a title? I'm trying to remember if he's ever gotten a title. I can't remember.
I don't think he's been a champion yet. Yeah. Unless he was he a champion? Was he 22?
I don't remember.
Does anybody know if he was a champion?
I don't think he did anything. He might have had something in NXT.
No, I don't think he was a champion.
I don't recall. No, I don't recall him. Not even 24/7. Yeah, Brian Long. Not even 24/7 champion. No, and by the way, you know, Gronk. You know, now TMZ picked up on it. Sports Illustrated picked up on it that he's now the 24/7 champion. Lord fucking knows what's going to happen with that belt now. So Kross says he was tag champs.
Was he? With who?
Who was he tag champs with? I don't remember him being a tag champion. Yeah, okay, NXT champion, yeah. That I kind of sort of remember, but I do not recall him having a tag team
roster. Yeah, he has no belts on the main roster.
Yeah, I don't recall. If anybody really wants to go check it out, see if Apollo Crews, if he ever had a WWE main. I mean, I was shocked of Sami Zayn. When Sami Zayn won the IC title, and then I started realizing, like, holy shit, is this the fucking first belt they're giving him? Yeah. I mean, it just, especially, okay, James says that Cruz never had the NXT title. Why does it feel like Cruz had a belt? I don't know. You know what I think it is? You know what I think it is? He's so good that you would have thought that he would have had some type of a title during his WWE run to his point. If I was him in storyline, turn him heel. That he's never getting opportunities, turn him heel and let him feud with somebody for a belt.
I'm looking at his bio. He never held any.
Yeah, never held the title. It's amazing.
Never held any. He's held no championship.
Wow, that's amazing. And I don't think it's a black thing. You know, if anybody's going to try to go there, I just think the right opportunity just never came for him. You know, and I think, again, what I said earlier, this might be if they're allowed to have more tapings, because we don't know how many matches they got in the bag. I mean, if you add up, because they didn't have to worry about commercial breaks, they didn't have to worry about a live crowd, you add up the total in-ring time today, it was about an hour's worth of wrestling. Yeah. So if they did 3 or 4 hours worth of wrestling 2, 3, 4 days in a row, you know, they might be able to get, 2 months worth of footage. I don't know, but this might be the opportunity for Apollo Crews to try to capitalize on the fact that other people are staying at home right now. Look what happened to Braun Strowman.
Tommy's saying he was the Preston City wrestling champion, whatever the fuck that is. Yeah, that's equivalent to me and Don Tony winning a bowling championship in high school.
Yeah.
So that's he. Bottom line, he hasn't won anything.
Yeah, that's kind of surprising. But Aleister Black gets the win today. Next, we had Cedric Alexander and Ricochet. As we said earlier, they beat Danny Burch and Oney Lorcan 3 fucking minutes. I've said on the Wednesday show that Birch and Lorcan don't really do all that much to me, but I didn't think that they were going to lose the way they did today. In fact, I even think only Lorcan, I remember which one it was, actually wrote on social media today that he got destroyed or something on Raw. Like he took a shot. One of the two wrote something tonight on Twitter. I saw it right before we went live. But, if that was bad, next we had Seth Rollins beating another NXT guy who's trying to, get a little bit of name recognition. And that is Denzel D. Jornet. I think that's how you pronounce his name. Seth just, beat him to a pulp in a minute, little over a minute.
It was so, after that, I was starting to get like, okay, then I saw Nia Jax was coming up. I'm like, all right, I'm back into it now because I haven't seen her in a year. So, and then I didn't know she was fighting Deonna Purrazzo.
Yeah.
So,
that
was quick work too.
We said yesterday that they were going to do exactly what we said they were going to do. Still shots, recaps. But I tell you, maybe because of how they produced it, I'm just surprised that they didn't spend a little bit more time on the recaps and trim off 2 or 3 of these matches today. Because look, the announcer stuff in the background was funny that we were talking about earlier. But, you understand it because what's going on right now. But, some of the stuff tonight I could have done without. I mean, Seth Rollins, he comes out selling that he was beat up yesterday, wins a 1-minute squash and leaves. And I don't know, it just didn't feel like it did anything. I mean, Kevin Owens cutting the parking lot promo, which was fine. But I don't know. It just felt like they were just putting shit in there, filling it. Nia Jax beating Deonna Purrazzo. We talked about it earlier. I think we talked longer about that match than the actual match. Only went 1:30.
Yeah, and then it was Umberto versus, what's his name? Brendan
Vink. Brendan Vink is a name that I'm hoping a year or two from now, we really start knowing that name a little bit more. Brendan Vink, I think, he has something. Just got to, get a little bit more experience, a little bit more, seasoning. But, he's not going to be able to showcase that much right now. But, he lost to Umberto in 3 minutes.
What do you know about him, DT, that you say that?
Well, we saw him, in the last 2-3 weeks. And I saw some of his work on YouTube. And he actually, he's got a... See, the problem with some of these guys, they had the tag team. I'm trying to remember who the tag team was. They had a tag team that was on TV 2 weeks ago. And they really didn't show all that much. They were on SmackDown, and then they were on Raw. And I think Brandon Vink might have even been in that match as well. And
that's right.
They were in both of those matches. In fact, I even think they might have appeared on NXT as well. And I did some searching on YouTube just to see a little bit more, and he's got a little bit. Just like
is it Vic Brendan Vic?
Like Katie Vic? Who we were talking about today?
No. What's his exact last name?
Vink.
How do you spell that?
Vink.
Oh, okay.
Vink. But WWE's got a couple of guys that, like even like Austin Theory. I mean, Austin Theory, if I remember correctly, he was the Evolve heavyweight champion, and he's got some talent. I just think he's being rushed a little bit because the lack of wrestlers that are available right now. I think that's the only reason why Apollo Crews is on Raw, because they just look at the number of people on SmackDown who showed up, and the number of people who showed up, and they're like, oh, we're a little unbalanced over here, so we'll just say a draft pick. So, not related to Katie Vink. That's Katie Vick, Mr.
Katie
Krabs.
Oh,
but
he's an Australian guy. Yeah.
Vink? Yeah, I think so.
Yeah,
I think so. But
then we get to Drew.
Yeah, then we had Drew we had the Charlotte promo with Charlotte Caruso. The one thing that they did say early on today is that Charlotte, I actually wasn't even on TV. It was an interview. Somebody interviewed Charlotte online newspaper. I don't think the interview is out yet, but the person said that Charlotte said that she is going to defend this title across all three brands, Raw, SmackDown, and NXT, which honestly makes no sense whatsoever, because why would an NXT title be defended on SmackDown? I understand they may have to do that because the lack of women that were available right now, but that makes no sense whatsoever. It's not a 24/7 title. It's not the women's tag titles. It is a title for a particular brand. So I don't know if that's going to happen, but, I'm curious to see who wins the women's ladder match to become the number one contender to take on Charlotte.
So it should be interesting.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. But then Drew McIntyre. We opened up with it. Tom Phillips did get something wrong earlier, or was it Byron Saxton? If I remember, one of them said tonight, because the match with McIntyre against Big Show was supposedly took place last night after he beat Lesnar for the belt.
Right.
That's how they were portraying it. And one of them said tonight, no one has ever won the title and then had to defend it the same night at a WrestleMania. And I was thinking to myself, wasn't the Yokozuna, was that WrestleMania? Wasn't that the one with the toga outfits? Didn't Yokozuna beat Brett and then Hogan beat Yoko?
Yeah, wasn't that that was what Jim Ross's first WrestleMania, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was that WrestleMania 9?
95, guys, was that 95?
That sounds like 9. Yeah, WrestleMania 9. So I heard them say that tonight, and I'm like, wait a minute. I could have sworn I remember Yoko beating Brett, and then Hogan threw the salt, beat Yoko, and then we had the controversy years later that, they did that because Hogan didn't want to face Brett. So, yeah. But yeah,
93. I'm sorry. My head is up. But 93. 1993.
Yeah, 93.
93, right.
But, look, Big Show, I wouldn't be surprised if some of this footage ends up on that fucking Netflix TV series. But, Big Show makes an appearance, and he challenges Drew McIntyre. I'm looking at the clock. It's 10:55, and I'm like, okay, this match will go about 5 minutes. And as it got closer, because of the net saying that Tyson Fury was going to challenge McIntyre, I'm saying to myself, okay, Tyson Fury better fucking run to the ring because we're running out of time, and they weren't going overtime. So next thing you know, we see some finishers and no Tyson Fury, and I'm like, okay, there ain't no fucking way that Drew McIntyre did all those shout outs online, had all these fans do this, and then just have Big Show win the belt the next day. So, But Drew McIntyre does get the win, and we go off the air with Drew McIntyre as champion.
Yeah, and Big Show looks older than Undertaker, actually, and he's probably 10 years younger.
Yeah. God bless Big Show.
I'm not trying to make fun of him, but it just, even the way he was standing there, he looks awkward, and he doesn't even look that intimidating. Drew is just a fucking, he's like a workhorse. You're kind of looking at the past and the future there when you're looking at Drew and Big Show.
Yeah,
you kind of suspend disbelief that Drew is afraid of this guy, because Big Show just doesn't. I look at him now. He's shell of his former self. He's there to do what he's got to do. He makes sporadic appearances. He's an attraction. At this point, was he 48 years old? But like I said, Drew, you're looking at this like Adonis-looking guy, and you're looking at this broken down giant. I'm like, I'm not buying it. I would have bought it. I barely bought it when he was trying to intimidate Brock Lesnar 15 years ago. But Big Show looks like he's just in no condition. He doesn't move that well in the ring. I think he's as in as bad a shape as Undertaker is.
Really? Big Show still scares the shit out of me. If he fucking confronted me and said, de Blasio, did I remember when you said this, I'd be like, ah! I'd be scared.
Really?
You know what? What I got out of that match tonight was this. Braun Strowman. You remember Big Show came back, had a couple of matches with Braun Strowman, broke the ring and all that other stuff. Big Show, in this stage of his career, is trying to give some rubs here and there. The Big Show tried to help give a little rub to Braun Strowman a couple of years ago, and I think Big Show now tried to give a little rub to Drew McIntyre. Look, that body slam tonight, it's not Big Show weight from 5 years ago, but that still was fucking impressive. So I have nothing but appreciation for Big Show. And I'm glad that he could still go once in a while. I still felt bad when the fans were chanting, "Please retire," several years ago.
That was a little funny, though, you have to admit.
It was funny, but at the same time, though, you know, when you're at the stage of his career that he was in, and towards the end, you know, you got fans that are basically just trying to like shove you out the door, kick you out the door. I think, character or not, you take that personally. And I guarantee you, they ever do like a real in-depth special on Big Show will bring that up. Maybe they've done it already, but Big Show will.
Yeah, so he's brought it up in like shoot interviews.
Yeah, in interviews. But I think if they do like a 24 and really go a little deeper, I think that hurt him a lot more than people think.
Well, you're probably right.
But you know, it did. Look, for under the circumstances, it was not a bad Raw. You know, again, I'm curious 2 weeks from now. Not next week, but the week after, what they do. I want to see if they go to another state. 2 weeks from now, it'll be very interesting because we'll be around the 21st of April. And again, you know, this virus thing is kicking everybody in the ass, but I'm telling you, there are going to be people that are going to start breaking this ordinance, and they're going to go back to work and risk getting arrested over it. And there's going to be so many people that are going to go back to work saying, I've been in quarantine or whatever. I'm not sick. I'm not around anybody. I need to fucking work. I'm not going to lose everything because of this. So I'm not saying that WWE will do that, but I think, you know, it's going to be, if they can get by 3 weeks with this, even if they have to replay a part of the WrestleMania to fill up an episode of Raw, I think they will end up doing that. So, but I'm just curious if we see more of Big Show in action after tonight.
Yeah, I agree with you, DT. I think, you know, people are being kind of good sports about it, but the problem is there's still like 9 states that haven't locked down yet at all. And that's why this thing will continue. It's dragging out. That's why you see frustrated, even celebrities where I don't really get on board with anything any of these dumbass celebrities say. But then they're like, will you please stay home so we can refilm our movie? And I'm like, yeah, I kind of get what they're saying because it's kind of keeping me home too. I want to resume my job. But it seems like anybody from neighboring states or people who are traveling, you know, they show clips of different cities and states of not abiding by it, you know, and I think that's what's going to prolong this. I think they should have a nationwide lockdown for like 2 to 3 weeks, get everybody on lockdown, start it now, and then end it by May 1st, see if it curtails anything, because they're talking about the Apex. You know, we're right in the heart of this, DT. Obviously, we're both New York City guys, Queens guys. Elmhurst Hospital is 15 minutes from me and you, from both sides of the Queens fence. That's like the hot spot for a lot of death and destruction. So again, I hope that they do, because I'm on my 3rd week, and I posted something today. You might have saw it, DT. I cracked this morning a little bit. I had a little bit of a anxiety thing going on out of the blue, just because, again, and if I hear one more time from somebody telling me, well, yeah, maybe June, maybe August, you know, Kev, maybe we won't work till November. You know, we might have to flush the whole year. I'm like, what? Like, I'm like, what is, you know, again, and I'm just me. I can only imagine other people who have bigger jobs.
That's why I don't pay attention
families.
to it.
No, I get it, DT. I'm just saying, but it can get to you. Yeah. And I think you're right. People are going to start breaking it and saying, listen, I'm not going to lose everything I have over this virus. I can get hit by a car tomorrow, too. I got the same fucking odds, you know? Yeah. So, I mean, again, this is, I hope this gets more in control. I think it's way out of hand now. I hope we're at the apex of it, as our governor said we will be in the next week, because if we're going we're in the bad zone, it can only get better, can it, DT, if they're saying we're at the apex?
Yeah, I think it put enough scare into people that it's going to just get better. I really, and I'm not just trying to say that. I mean, I pay very close attention to everything. I think it's going to get a lot better. And look, if we get a week where AEW replays Revolution, Or we get WWE that replays a good portion of. I'm still convinced that not now, and I said it yesterday. It's not now. Maybe a week or two from now, after the pay-per-view. There's no more pay-per-view buy rates for Mania.
Right.
Then they'll add the match in its entirety. But if they start filling up, some Raws with some old school stuff, maybe a documentary, maybe some pay-per-view, it's better than nothing right now. It's better than nothing. And but
it is better than nothing. And I'm on the YouTube thing. I'm seeing a lot of the comments where, a lot of these our friends and fans are smart. They're right. The media is whipping a lot of people up into a frenzy. They're saying, we're not denying. I'm not a virus denier. But I also know that this was handled like shit from the get-go. And it's, like I said, this is a wrestling show, but we talk about everything here, and might as well just say this, because obviously a lot of you guys are tuning in because you don't have to go to work tomorrow. You do, DT, but a lot of people listening here, their jobs are curtailed. They're working at home, or they're not working at all. And our wrestling was affected. We had a WrestleMania weekend that the coronavirus completely controlled the fate of that and the aspect of that. So I just hope it gets better for the sake of all of us. I mean, I think I'm going to literally break down and tear up when I hear, green light, all systems go, back to work, back to the arenas, buy your tickets, but I think we're mid to late summer on that, DT. I hope to get back to work myself by June, but I'm thinking for big shows and maybe baseball, if it happens, we're looking at August, if that's a realistic estimation.
I'm going to watch the Big Show TV show tonight. There's got to be some appearances from wrestlers tonight. There's got to be. So I wonder if they're going to show like any retrospect of Big Show's wrestling career. Something tells me it's going to echo a lot of Learning the Ropes, that show that we were talking about earlier with Lyle Alzado. Obviously, that's outdated, but
Yeah, but have they said that they're going to have appearances by wrestlers?
Yeah, I think there are. Yeah, I think there's definitely going to be appearances from wrestlers. Absolutely.
Someone's saying Rikishi and Mick Foley is supposed to be on.
Oh, okay, all right. Yeah, look, it's something different, and I'm going to go check it out. Look, Big Show's been wrestling now. It's amazing because it's 25 years. Because he started around 95. So
he started exactly 95.
Yeah, so it's 25 years. I mean, he said 4 decades earlier when he was talking smack to McIntyre, but that's actually true. I mean, I was joking when I said it last year, but technically it's true. Since I've been doing the hotlines, this is my 4th decade doing this stuff. How crazy that's. But, that's just playing on numbers. But if you think about it, it's actually true. So Big Show, he's wrestling 25 years, but this is his 4th decade in, being in the ring. 90s, 2000s.
Half of the 90s, all the 2000s, all the 2010s, and now starting this.
When do you think his peak was?
Saying about you was correct.
You think his peak when he first came into WWE, or you think it was a little bit later on? Because I always felt it was more around the time where he was feuding with Kane and even, doing a little work with Daniel Bryan early on. I mean, that was many years ago. But when he came in as Paul White, he was intimidating, but I don't know if he was as strong. I would say like maybe 3 years after he debuted.
I agree with Brian Long. He said he peaked early in WCW. He did. He came out like a firestorm in 95, 96. And then he got beat by a few people. Nash beat him. A couple other people beat him. Then he started getting beat on, literally, when they started jumping him and beating him down. And he was bitter about that. If you saw his Austin interview, he was bitter about the way the NWO bitch slapped him around. He didn't think that benefited him at all. I think he peaked, and then when he beat Lesnar title and Paul Heyman managed him, he had another career resurgence. That's when he cut his hair for the first time.
When he was ECW champion, I think he was probably peaking. Not because of ECW, but they put a lot of push behind him at that time.
Yeah, I would say, but again, like 2000, even when he beat Brock, that was so long ago. That was like 18 years ago at this point, So he was. Was he 30 when that happened? He's 48 now. Yeah. So, I mean, that just shows you how fucking fast time goes by. But also speaking of, and just to plug this a little bit, it's a 14-minute preview, but I checked out the Undertaker's documentary, which is filmed from 2017, the current, but the clip they showed that's on now, it's 14 minutes long. It's fun. You could see him interacting with Jim Cornette and Jimmy Hart in the hallway, just kind of being silly, like a real candid moment there. And him telling Roman Reigns, and Roman Reigns is standing next to him at the hotel, and they're checking in. He goes, "Are you going to practice kayfabe at all here? We're fighting each other." And he goes, "Yeah, not really." And he was like joking with Roman. He's standing next to Roman online. He goes, "Kayfabe?" And that's when him and Roman went at it a few years ago at WrestleMania. Yeah. And he talks about his injuries and real candid and Michelle. It looks like a great series. It's said it's coming soon. I don't know if it has anybody know the air date for the actual series itself, but it was a preview that's on there now. It's 14 minutes long and it's really good. You can see the Undertaker like you've never seen him before.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I'll check it out. I'm gonna watch some stuff tonight. Watch some stuff tomorrow. I don't really have to do much tomorrow night, but I'll catch up on a few things. But yeah, I agree. Krabs and everybody else missing a little bit of baseball, missing seeing the Mets and the Yankees, and we'll get it back soon. I don't think Carlos Beltran would have been a good manager.
No, I think things happen. Yeah. Things happen for a reason.
Yeah, look, he seems like a likable guy, and he did some decent work with the Mets, but I did not want him as a manager. I'm still bitter that the Mets never hired Wally Backman as a manager.
Me too, man. My favorite player, believe it or not, of all time.
Yeah, it
on the Mets
boggles me. By the way, if anybody wants to see this, you probably enjoy this too on YouTube. Because I was watching some old school stuff. There's a guy on YouTube. If you just type in Mets highlights 1983, this was when Strawberry first came in. This was a year before Gooden came in. This was a year before Keith Hernandez, or maybe it was the summer of '83 when Hernandez came in, but right before Gary Carter. But it's just basically some guy that recorded like loads of stuff from the news and TV and highlights from games. It's like 6 hours long.
It's on YouTube?
He's got it from 83. He's got it 82. He's got 81. There's some pretty cool gems in there. So I'm just shocked that MLB hasn't taken it down. Because I used to upload games. I got 7,000 baseball games here. And I started uploading games. This was when I first got YouTube many years ago. YouTube started flagging me. They're like, "Oh, MLB copyright." And I'm like, fuck, I can't even put this shit up. So I stopped.
Shit, well, I got to check it out. Do you know the title of it?
Yeah, just write Mets highlights 1983. And you'll see a couple of different clips, but then you'll see one post that's like 6 hours long. That's the one. You'll see it. It highlights when Tom Seaver first came back, some interviews I've never seen before. It's and I'm telling you, there's some gems on YouTube right now that I think a lot of people don't even know exist. So, but Kev, I'll talk to you tomorrow for KNT Chronicles and 10:15, right?
Yep, 10:15. Want to give a special shout out to Patrick in North Carolina for he knows why. And anybody who hasn't signed up yet, sign up for Don Tony Patreon. You'll get KNT Chronicles, Breakfast Soup, Castle Chronicles, and tomorrow night we go 10:15 on Discord chat. Sign up so you can join us. Sign up today, sign up tomorrow, and we're gonna have a lot of fun.
Yeah, sounds good.
All right, peace, everybody.
All right, talk to you later. And by the way, he brought up Breakfast Soup. Mish and I will be back on Patreon this coming weekend for Breakfast Soup. Later on in the week, we'll send a thread to our VIPers to send in questions, comments for the show. So Breakfast Soup does return to Patreon this week. And I want to thank everybody for tuning in tonight. Don't forget, this Wednesday, I will be right here on YouTube for Wednesday Night Dynamite, and Friday, I will be back on YouTube for the Don Tony Show. Wednesday will start 10:05 p.m. There's no reason to wait till 10:15 since everything's pre-recorded. They have everything managed to go off the air on time. So Wednesday, 10:05 on YouTube. Friday, 10:05 on YouTube, right after Smackdown. And we'll have a kick-ass show. So I tell you, man, I realize now, because the Don Tony Show, like I did a couple of Fridays and then I stopped 2 or 3 Fridays. And people were just like, come on, you got to do one Friday. A lot of other podcasters do not do a Friday show. And I had so many of you that were saying, do Friday. We wanted Friday. So I did Friday like 2 or 3 weeks in a row. And the response has been incredible. I mean, I appreciate all your responses for all the shows, but Friday especially, like I always thought Friday would be the suckiest night to do it. Yeah, with coronavirus, it's a little different, but Friday seems to be the day that everybody really wants that. And it's cool because Friday we get to relax, lounge, talk about everything going on, no crazy research needed. And sometimes the best shows end up being the one with almost no preparation. Go figure, right? That's why even with Wednesday Night Dynamite, I have actually, we have to right now because of coronavirus, but I scaled back the level of research that I was doing for Wednesdays because I realized, I'm like, look, I'm not trying to say this to sound like an asshole, but there's a reason why NXT only gets 600,000-700,000 viewers. There's a reason why AEW gets 700,000-900,000 viewers. It's not as popular as WWE on Monday or Friday. At the end of the day, it's about a third of the viewers. So when you see a third of the viewers tuning into Wednesday Night Dynamite, it's like, okay, maybe I'm putting a little bit too much effort in this show since, a lot of people don't tune in for that. So Friday, it will be a lot of fun. Look, I'll always give you, all the news for all of the non-Raw and Smackdown stuff going on Wednesdays. But, I don't think Charlotte will add a lot of viewers. I really don't. It'll help. It'll definitely help. But right now, it's just the overall product. You have some guys on NXT, I've brought it up before, you bring up Cameron Grimes, for example. Guy's talented. That guy's on TV. That is my opportunity to go take a leak, get something to drink, maybe set up the software for the show, test a couple of things. They have a lot of guys in NXT that just don't have that connection with the crowd. And you don't need a crowd in attendance right now to even have that. They just don't have the charisma to it, but I'm still looking forward to Wednesdays. Charlotte, I don't know who will win the ladder match. Yesterday I said I'd like to see Charlotte versus Io Shirai. I agree with a lot of people out there that whoever she faces right now, the chances of Charlotte losing this belt is slim to none. Charlotte may have been given the title right now for the simple reason of what's going on with this coronavirus. You need some name recognition on these shows. And I would not be surprised if someone else from Raw or SmackDown appears in NXT. They're all in the same building when they were filming this stuff. So you do some stupid storyline where this person comes in and does this and that, and there's 1 or 2 weeks of a couple of matches just to fill time. So again, remember the analogy I said yesterday about my dad, eating MREs. And, when you're in bad times or abnormal times, even think of somebody who's in jail. I've never had any jail stints, but some people listening, you may have been in jail for a stint or you may know someone. They get out of jail and the first thing they want to do is either have an ice cold beer or go to their favorite restaurant or just something edible or drinkable. And when you taste it, it tastes like the greatest fucking soda you ever had or the greatest beer or greatest this. So right now we got to just enjoy whatever we have as far as wrestling, whether it's repeats or not. Make the best of it. It's not going to be good, as good as other stuff. Now WWE did hype Money in the Bank. Don't know if it's going to go down. Right now, WWE is trying to give the perception of business as usual. They're rolling the dice, hoping that they'll be able to do a show. And again, do not discount what I said last week and what I said this weekend. WWE could pop up in a different state where the rules are lax, and it's going to cause controversy. You know, what the fuck you doing in this state? They're just going to that state because they can work. You know, you're going to see some people doing that. If this doesn't clear up quick enough, you're going to see some people traveling to the next state over to do work or something or whatever. You know, it's difficult because if you work for a company, you can't just go to another state and do the same work there. But as far as WWE, think about that. AEW went from Florida to Georgia. Now, if Georgia tightens things up, they may go from Georgia to, I don't know, North Carolina. That's what can happen. And don't be surprised if it does. So let's see what happens with Money in the Bank, because we don't even know who's going to compete. There are a lot of wrestlers right now that are very afraid, that are staying home. And me personally, I don't think Money in the Bank goes off as planned. If they're allowed to record matches by that time, you know, it's probably going to be similar to what we got now. Make the best of it. Enjoy it. That's probably the best thing I could do. But, you know, try to give some people a little, you know, just enjoy whatever it is. You know, it's better than nothing. That's how I look at it. Although, you know my views that they shouldn't be there at all right now. I'm just waiting. For the controversy where some big name wrestler gets diagnosed with coronavirus, and then you're going to see like this domino effect. Oh my God, he wrestled this person wrestled this person has this valet, and this person's married here, and you just see all the dominoes falling at the same time. I'm fearing that happening, and WWE, I don't know how much they could be hush-hush about something like that, especially with a publicly traded company. But look, we're under some very odd times right now, and let's just hope shit like that doesn't happen. So, but WrestleMania next year in California will go on as planned. They're ready. Did you see that little thing that they put online with spoofing Back to the Future, and it's Beck to the Future, and the license plate says the man on it? They're going to start pushing WrestleMania in Hollywood so early this year to get people away from what happened this year, focus on next year. I'm telling you, you're going to see that over and over again. And that's may not be a bad thing. So, all right, everybody, I'm out of here. I want to thank you, as always, for the support. Once again, before you leave, if you enjoyed this episode, hit the like button, because, you know, that just gives this a little bit more exposure. I want to thank everybody who has subscribed, because, yes, last night I did break 9,000 subscribers here. And what is this, 11 weeks? Something like that. Not even 3 months, because I started the middle of January. So, you know, if you like, subscribe. Doesn't cost anything. You know, this way you get alerts when shows are going to take place. And originally, my goal was to get 10,000 subscribers in a year. You know, look, a lot of other podcasters out there, some people try to cause controversy. I'm not going to name any shows out there, but some people, you know, they got 30,000 subscribers, 50,000, 100,000 subscribers. They have years and years and years and years of time on YouTube. So I applaud that viewership that they have and that loyalty. And, you know, I hope that, you know, I earned everybody's loyalty as well. So it's not a competition. You know, I'm in competition with myself, and just always trying to keep everybody's interest here. And, you know, so, hey, we'll see what happens. My original goal was 10,000 subscribers in a year. We may get 10,000 subscribers in 6 months, maybe even 5 months, maybe even 4 months. We'll see. But it's been awesome so far. So happy that I did this. You know, I can't tell you how many people that were making me feel guilty about going video. You know, just after, and you've heard it's a broken record, after 22 years of doing audio only, I needed a challenge. I needed to, you know, broaden myself. This connection with the video having fun, seeing a different extension, and people finally seeing a live face behind the voice. I'm not as evil of a person as people portrayed me to be for years and years and years. And, I'm just enjoying it. And I thank all of you for tuning in as always, and spread the word. Let everybody know about it. And I always welcome everybody's feedback and suggestions. I see what everybody writes on YouTube. You could send me tweets, private messages, emails, dontony@dontony.com. Sometimes I get overloaded with messages, but I usually, get back to people rather quickly. So always welcome your feedback. So I am out of here. Check out Wednesday for Wednesday Night Dynamite. And once again, everybody, much love. Talk to you all again Wednesday. Ciao.
Don-O-Mite.
It was fun to channel surf. It was kind of hard to do a little pocket pool after you hitting the last channel button 50 times for 2 hours plus.
Don-O-Mite.
And his whole idea of overanalyzing, oh, he's an alcoholic and he misplaced the belt. And how could you have someone champion like that? The fuck out of here.
Wednesday night.
Don-O-Mite, you can have fun. You really are.